welcome back to my channel. This is Alex from Alex's Innovations, and today I'm going to show you how to make a mandala flower. This bracelet is super fun. It's a little bit more advanced, so all you have to know is how to do a candy stripe and a chevron. I have videos for candy stripe, and I also have videos for basic knots if you're completely new to making bracelets. But once you're done with that, you are pretty much ready to go. You're going to need 7 colors, and you're going to need 7 strings of each color. You're going to need each string to be about 60 centimeters long, and you're going to need 7 of those. So altogether you should have 49 strings, so 7 strings and 7 colors. I recommend choosing a color sequence that you like that's pretty easy to remember, so I'm kind of going in a zigzag like this, so I have the pink and then going in a rainbow pattern. And again, you can use more or less colors, but I like 7 because that creates a decent sized flower. So I'm going to take my first color, which is pink, and I'm going to bring all of the other colors off to the side. And then with the pink thread, I'm going to take one of the pink threads, just take that one out. And I'm just going to tape it down to my workspace. You can use another method. I typically not using a clipboard, but I find that the taping down method works a lot better, especially for the mandala flower, because you have a lot of things kind of going on at once. So I'm going to tape that down now. Alright, so that's taped down, and then I have this little section in the middle that I'm going to be working on. It doesn't have to be exactly in the middle because we'll be able to move stuff around on here. And then I'm going to take my remaining 6 strings and I'm going to fold them in half so that they're at the middle, and then one by one I'm going to attach each of these strings to this big string. So I'll show you with one. So I'm just going to grab the middle, so this means that I'm naturally pinching the middle, so that's nice. And then I'm going to stick this loop underneath like that. Then I'm going to bring this loop over like that, and then I'm going to bring these 2 tails through the loop like that, and then just kind of pull. So that is going to attach my string to this base string right here. And I'm just going to repeat that for the other 5. Now I have 6 of these strings that are attached to this bottom string, and I'm just going to show you what is going to happen for one of the strings, and then it's going to repeat. So I'm just going to be starting with this string. So for this string, I'm going to grab the next color in my sequence, so for me it's red, and I'm going to take one of the red strings out, and then we don't need the rest of them for now, but I'm going to take one of the red strings and I'm going to fold it in half to find the midpoint, which is right here, and I'm going to bring this midpoint underneath the string, and it doesn't have to be right at the top because we can push it up later. And then I'm going to bring the right side and make a 4 over this bottom part. Then I'm going to bring the left side over the string under this part and through the loop, and then pull. And this is going to secure the red string to this bottom string, so that's cool. So now I'm going to slide this red part all the way up so it's right at the knot. I'll show you how to do that again. So I'm gonna grab my second color, so for me it's orange, and I'm just going to grab one string, just like last time. And I'm gonna fold it in half to find the midpoint. And then I'm going to bring that midpoint underneath, and then with the right I'm going to make a 4, and then with the left I'm going to go over, under, and through. This is a kind of hard knot to describe, so I hope it's not too confusing. So pull and then slide up, and then repeat this for each of your remaining colors. So I'm going to do it again for yellow, green, blue, and purple. So altogether you should have done this 6 times for one of these. Alright, so all of my strings have been attached to this middle pink strand, and so we have 6 strings on this side and 6 strings on this side. So now we're actually going to knot. After all this setup, we're going to knot. So I'm going to first start on the right side, and I'm going to bring my first string, which is red. I'm going to find it and bring it over all of the other strings that I've been working with. And then I'm going to separate the 2 pink strings. So with the right pink string, I'm going to take my red string and do a double backward knot. And again, I have a video for all the basic knots in the description, so if you're unfamiliar with these or you need a refresher, go check that one out. And then leave that in the middle. Then on the other side, I'm going to find the other red string, and I'm going to bring that over all of the other strings, and then over the pink string, I'm going to do a double forward knot with the red string over the pink string. And now the 2 red strings are in the middle, so with the left string again, I'm going to do a double forward knot over the right one. Alright, then grab the next string, so for me it's orange. I'm going to bring that one over all the ones that you haven't knotted with, so I'm next to the pink one now. And then over the pink one and the red one, I'm going to do a double backward knot over each of them, so you should do 2 double backward knots. And then leave that in the center. Then on the other side, like before, I'm going to find the other orange string, bring that over all the strings I haven't knotted with, and then I'm going to do a double forward knot over the pink string, then the red string, and finally the first orange string that we are working with. Alright, and then we're going to repeat this process for each of these other strings. So next is going to be the yellow string. We're going to do knots this way, and then with the other yellow string, do knots this way. And you're going to kind of create this growing chevron going downward. So I'll just kind of speed that up. Okay, so I'm done with this first one. I just continued using each color and going down, so you should have something that looks a little bit like this. And so now you're going to do this exact same thing. So you're going to put all of the strings on, and then you're going to knot all of the strings in the way I showed you. You're going to do that again 5 more times for each of these other strings that we attached. So this is like 1 string, we're going to do it once there, once there, once there, once there, and once there. So you're going to have a total of 6 of these little chevron things floating on your other string. I'm not going to film this because it's going to take a while, so we're just going to fade right now. Okay, so I'm back. It is about an hour later, so it took me an hour to attach all these and make the chevrons. It doesn't look like much, but this honestly, it takes a while. So I don't really make this bracelet that often, but it is really pretty when you do make it. So now that I have 6 of these, you should have 1 string left of each of your colors, so this is 1 string left of each. They're just kind of tangled right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this pink string, and I'm going to slide all of these like chevron pieces together. You want to make them as close together as possible, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to wrap this in a circle, and so we don't want there to be a lot of space in between. So I'm just going to take this off, and then again I'm going to just squish these in as much as I can. That's about it. Then I'm just going to rotate it just so all of the string is on top, and I'm going to do my best to kind of tape this down just like right up top, because we're going to be working with these 2 strings now. Alright, and then with the left string, I'm going to make a double forward knot over the right string. But you want to make this as tight as possible, so you want the center to be as small as possible, like that. So there's like a little circle right there. And then you're just going to repeat everything that you did up here, but just you're going to do it one more time. Okay, now that I have created my last chevron, there should be a total of 7 of these chevrons, so when you spread them out, they kind of look like a flower, something like this, but they're not connected yet, so right now we're going to be connecting them. So bring 3 of the chevrons up and leave the rest of the 4 down. This doesn't need to be exact, but I'm just trying to make it so it's easy enough to tape it down. So now tape down these 3 up top here. And then we're going to be connecting the bottom 4. We're going to be knotting with the pink strings and making a final row. So I'm going to start with these 2 middle ones here. So I'm going to take the pink string from the left one and the pink string from the right one. And then very simply with the string on the left, we're going to do a double forward knot over the string from the right. And then with that same string, do 6 double forward knots, so you're in the middle of this petal. Alright, and then with the other pink string, we're going to do 6 double backward knots, so we're in the middle of this petal. Alright, and then I'm going to be working with this petal and this petal now, so I'm going to repeat the exact same thing, and this process is going to be the same, but I'm just going to show it to you again. So I'm going to find the pink string that belongs to this petal and the pink string that belongs to this petal. And now with the string that's on the left, I'm going to do a double forward knot over the string on the right. And then with that string, I'm going to do 6 double forward knots over, so you'll end up in the middle of this petal. Alright, and then take the other pink string that's in the middle, and we're going to do 6 double backward knots, so we end up in the middle of this petal. Okay, and then just repeat this process. All of these petals have a pink string on the edges, so we're just going to connect them all and then knot them all around so you'll have this little pink border at the end. Okay, so I am all done with the flower. So the mandala itself is now done, so you can do like pretty much whatever you want with it. Some people like to cut these strings and have it like stand alone. I personally like to make it into a bracelet because that's what I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 braids on either side, and then I'm going to have the rest as a tassel. So since this has 7 sides, it's not going to be symmetrical in terms of making a tie. So if you're going to do what I'm going to do, then I would suggest isolating the strings from one of the petals. So I'm going to choose this one horizontally. So there's that one. And then if you notice on the other side, there's no direct point of the opposite petal. So I'm going to take half of the strings from this petal and half of the strings from this petal. So that will be this bunch of strings. And those are going to turn into my braids, so I'm going to braid these. So I'll first do the braid just because that's the easier part of it, and then I'm going to cut each of these to make tassels. So for the braid, the process is slightly more complicated. If you want, you can just make a braid out of these, but I like to do something a little nicer. It's making two little braids here that kind of merge into one braid, so I'll show you how to do that now. I'm just gonna retape all of everything that I'm not knotting onto the surface. I'm using a lot of tape here. Then I'm just going to split this into two, and then with this side, I'm going to braid for maybe 1/2 inch or 1 inch. If you don't know how to braid, you can check out a tutorial I have in the comprehensive guide to starting and ending your bracelet, and you can just go to the table of contents in the description to find the braiding section. But I'm just going to braid this for about 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to try and tape it down so it doesn't move. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat this for the other one. Okay, and then I'm going to untape this. And this part's kind of hard to describe, so I'm just gonna do my best, but basically you're gonna combine this into 3 big strands, because in the beginning you have 6 strands, but you only want 3. So it's gonna be a little tiny bit messy, but that's okay. So I kind of matched 1 strand to 1 strand, and then I'm just going to braid as normal. And so this will merge them into 1 big braid. Then you can make this as long as you want, but keep in mind that this braid is going to be a little bit longer than what you normally make, because usually when you make braids, the bracelet is about 5 to 6 inches, but here it's only like 2 inches or so. So this is probably gonna be a little longer. If you're unsure, you can always braid and then make a loose knot at the end, and then you can untie it and make your braid longer if you need to when you're all done. All right, so I'm all done, so I'm just going to do an overhand knot. And I'm going to make it not so tight, so just enough to secure the strings, but I don't want it to be so tight that I couldn't undo it if I wanted to. All right, there you go. All right, then I'm just going to repeat this on the other side on the strings that I designated earlier. They're covered in the tape, but they're these ones right here. Okay, and the second one is done. I'm just not going to cut these ties yet, but I've tried to make these braids an equal amount of length, and then I can change it later if I need to. So now is going to be the delicate part, and for this I strongly recommend a good pair of scissors, but we're going to be trimming each of these sides, so it's going to be an equal length. I'll start on this side. So we're going to be basically isolating one side of the chevron, and I'm going to pull it taut and then cut it very close, but I'm going to try and do it as uniformly as possible. Again, you want to go slowly. It's a lot easier to cut it when it's very long than to trim it later on, so I'm just going to cut it like that. And it's a little uneven, but that's okay. So I'm just going to repeat that for all of these. I'm going to do the ones facing diagonally downward that way first, because I'm in the best position, and then I can reposition. Like, don't be afraid to reposition yourself on the table if you need to, because you don't want to mess this part up. Okay, so that's about it. Didn't have to trim anything, which is nice. And then I'm just gonna flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. Alright, I am almost done. Now I'm just going to check that the braids that I've cut are long enough. I'm just going to try it on real quick, and if I can put it on and tie it and there's still plenty of room for me to tie, which there is, then I'm all good. So I'm going to assume that this is a good length for me, and I'm going to cut these ties so that they're approximately the same length, and I'm also just going to pull tightly because I didn't knot them that tightly. So I'll just trim these so they're the same length. And then that's it. So that's the mandala flower. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I had a lot of fun making it. This bracelet is one of the most pretty ones, I think, but it can be tedious at times just because there's a lot of repetition. But once you do it once, it's very easy to learn and relearn. And there are also a variety of ways to finish it off, like you can make this a choker or a necklace or a patch or anything that you want. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to support me on Instagram, you can check that out, as well as my small business where this will be available for sale, as well as all my other bracelets that I make. And please like and comment on this video and subscribe to my channel because it really helps me out. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!